Good evening, my dear friends out there in the Facebook world. Welcome, welcome to part five of our six-part series called Towards a Meaningful Life. This is part number five, means that we are coming to the end and hope that the past 4 weeks have been instructive and useful to everyone. Again, as I always, when we start the class, I'm always wondering if we're on because it says live, but I haven't seen anybody check in just yet. So I'm wondering if I'm talking to myself. So if there's anybody out there in this Facebook world that's actually seeing this, there we go. Okay. Thank you so much. Ah, whoever you are, I don't know who you are, but whoever you are, thank you so much. Now I know that we're off and running. Off and running. All right, here we go. We have people checking in. So, again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to part number five of a six-part series called Towards a Meaningful Life. This is the second to last class. Next week, we are going to finish. We're going to do a summary, give some more ideas on how to live a meaningful life, and then we're going to take a little bit of a break for Hanukkah, and then we'll start our new series in the new year. For those that have not been with us, if there's anybody out there that has not been following this class, let me give a very, very short recap of the past of the past four classes that we had. Number one, we started off with the idea of your importance. How important are you? That you make a difference. You matter in the world. Because as long as you have a very good self esteem, then okay, that helps towards a meaningful life. And then we deal with all the other issues around. Number two, class number two dealt with love and relationships. Very, very important, love and relationships. Third class dealt how to turn your house into a home. No, there's a house and then there's a home. We wanted to turn the house into the home. And last week we talked about the importance of work and money, 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 money. How to take money and work and make them work for you and to make your life better, more meaningful. So those were the first four classes. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I have to be honest with you, it's a very tough class. It's a tough class. Whenever I give these series and it comes to this, to pain and loss, I I I, I think to myself, why? Why do I want to bring this up? Why do I want to bring this up? It's a depressing topic. It's a hard topic to discuss, but nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, if we want to have a complete path and how to live a meaningful life, I think we have to go through pain and loss. We need to discuss it. I'm not happy about it, but it's something that it's part of life. We all know that, and therefore it must be discussed. Now, pain and loss and suffering come up in a variety of ways. You know, you could have pain, physical pain, but tonight we're not going to be talking about physical pain. If you have physical pain, the thing to do is to get it checked out by a doctor and deal with it. Now, the good part about physical pain, the positive part, is that pain only comes to a living being. I mean, God forbid if you're dead, you feel no pain. God forbid if you're paralyzed, you feel no pain. So the fact that physical pain, there is one small advantage. It tells you, hey, you know what? You're living and your body is sending you a message. It's sending you a message to tell you, get this thing fixed. So that's with the physical pain. But it's much easier dealing with physical pain than it is with emotional pain. Because again, like I said, you have physical pain, go to a doctor, hopefully he'll be able to help you, and then we'll do that. We're talking this evening about emotional, psychological pain and loss. Now, that comes in a variety of different ways. Number one, the loss of a loved one. God forbid you lose someone, a parent, a spouse, God forbid, a sibling, a child. Devastating, absolutely devastating. The loss of a job. I mean, in today's pandemic, hello everyone. I just want to say hello to everybody and welcome. Today's pandemic, millions of Americans are struggling financially and losing their jobs. Terrible. This is a psychological weight on their shoulders that's causing tremendous amount of pain. Tremendous amount of pain. A breakup. I mean, we're talking about the loss of a loved one, but the loss of love. I mean, imagine you were going out and dating somebody, and you thought to yourself, you know what? This is the love of my life, and I will. This I'm going to spend the rest of my life with this person, and they don't feel that way. Tremendously painful and hurtful, and a real loss, ladies and gentlemen. A pet, pets. I mean, I know that in today's day and age, with people stuck at home, how important pets have become, especially to those people that are living alone. It's Pets have gone up in stature. I mean, people always love pets, but now they're so dependent, and God forbid you lose a pet, it's devastating, devastating, and the pain is immeasurable. Health issues, and God forbid you're sick, a loss of a friendship, divorce, all of these things that I've mentioned are causes for a tremendous amount of emotional and psychological pain. And they all lead to St. Path of not allowing us to live a meaningful life. Now, the first thing we have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, is pain is inevitable. I wish I could stay here and say to you, you know what? You are going to be the lucky ones. Anyone that's listening or watching this class is going to be exempt from experiencing any loss or any pain or any suffering during their lifetime. I wish I had that kind of power. I wish, and I always said this at my family simchas, whenever my son bar mitzvah or my daughter bat mitzvah or a wedding, I said, I wish I could say to you that my hope is that you should go through life without any challenges. I wish. It's not going to happen. Pain and loss is inevitable. Whether it's pain and loss that your parent, an elderly person passes away, we're going to experience that. Well, otherwise, people are going to lose their jobs. People are going to get divorced. Everyone. And that's why this class, I think, is so very important. Every one of us will experience some pain during their lifetime. I hope and I pray for everyone here that this should be to a minimum. And when God sets out pain, he looks at you and says, you know what, I'm just going to give you the minimum amount. However, regardless of if you're Job, who suffered a lot, or if you're suffering a little bit, our goal tonight is to find out how do we deal with pain and loss. That's good, because once we know how to do that, it will help us recover in a timely fashion. And that's going to be one of the keys, ladies and gentlemen, in a timely fashion, and put us back on the course to living a meaningful life. That's what the purpose of this class is all about. Dealing with pain and loss that everyone is going to experience. The question is, what is pain? What is it? So physically, we know what pain is. I mean, it hurts. It hurts. Pain emotionally is that terrible feeling of loss when something important has been taken away from you. That's what pain is. It's a pit in the stomach. It's that feeling of being lost. You had something and that thing was ripped from you, whether it was a person, whether it was a job, whether it was a relationship, whether it was a house, something you had, and now it's gone. It's absolutely gone. During our lifetime, everyone's going to have this question, ladies and gentlemen. When you are experiencing the pain, or you see other people experiencing this pain, you are going to ask this basic question: Rabbi, why does there need to be so much pain and suffering in the world? Why? God created the world to make this a beautiful garden for himself. And he created people, and we talked about last week about the importance of work and about the importance of money, of how we can together build a beautiful, beautiful garden for God here on earth. And that was God's intention. This is what he wanted. So why, Rabbi, explain to me, please, why does there have to be so much pain and suffering in the world? We look around, there are children that go to sleep at night starving. Why? Why, Rabbi? Why does there have to be diseases around? This question has been asked since time immemorial. So way back, way back, this question has been asked. And it's a tough question. And it's a real question. And people ask this with sincerity. And I have to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people, because of this question, begin to wonder and ponder whether there's a God at all. Whether there's a God. because there's so much pain and because there is so much loss and suffering, you got to people think to themselves, "Yes, balabais labirazu." There's someone running this show. Who's running this show? If it's a benevolent God who wants the best for mankind and cares to us like we are his children, how could it be? Could you imagine a father or a mother watching while her children are suffering? No, I can't. I can't imagine that. I can. So the question is, how? Why is there so much pain? I can't answer this question. As much as I think about it, and as much as you read, and as much as you study, and you ask questions, there's no answer to this question. The only one that knows is the Almighty God. And if I would know the answer why there's pain and suffering in the world, I would be God. So today we're not going to answer that question. I'm so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I know you were hoping for the ultimate answer to the ultimate question, but there is no answer to this question. There is no answer. I'm not the first to ask this question. I won't be the last to ask this question. And there's no answer. God said through the prophets, my thoughts are not your thoughts. My ways are not your ways. You have no understanding of how I run the world. And therefore, there's no answer to this. What can we do? What can we do? That is the question that needs to be answered. There is an answerable question. We have the pain, we have the loss, we have the suffering. Now, with that, what can we do to alleviate it? Why it's there, I can't. And explain it away to say to someone, hey, you know what? I know exactly why you're suffering, because you're not the kind of person that you purport to be. You won't say that you're such a righteous person, so this must prove that you're not such a righteous person. That is wrong. Explaining away pain for someone to know exactly why that person is in pain is absolutely wrong. And not only wrong, but it's evil. It's evil in a way. You don't know, and nobody knows why that person is suffering. Nobody. Nobody. This is completely on the accounting, the balance sheet of the Almighty, and he is not sharing it with anybody. He's the boss of all bosses, and that's his business. What can we do? What can we do? We have to think, and we have to ponder, and we have to research, and we have to develop a method to how do we respond to this pain effectively and compassionately. How do we deal with it properly? What do we do with it properly and in a healthy fashion to allow us to continue to live a meaningful life? That's the challenge this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Not the theology of pain and not the rationale of pain, but the effectiveness of how we deal with it, what we do with it, and how we are able to set a course that will allow us to continue to live a meaningful life. That's that's where that's if we can do that this evening, ladies and gentlemen, and if we can accomplish that within the framework of the time that we're allotted, I'll be more than satisfied. But how do you do it? Okay, everybody feels pain. So, Rabbi, now tell us, how do you do it? How do we react to a painful situation? We understand we're not going to understand why it's here, and we're going to understand we're not going to explain it away. But what should we do? So, let's take a moment to see the reaction of how some people in the Torah reacted to tremendous amount of pain. Let's just see, for a moment, let's go through a number of scenarios to see. Number one, we have an incredible story that happens in the desert. God tells Moses, please, I would like to have a dwelling place. I have nowhere to live. Everybody has tents. I have nowhere to live. I want you to build a mishkan for me. I'd like you to build a tabernacle for me. Moses gets instructions of exactly the measurements perfectly with everything, all of the articles. He is then given instructions to appoint some very, very important and knowledgeable craftsmen to help him build this sanctuary. And it takes them a while to do this. And the day is coming closer and closer. And God says, you know who? Your brother Aaron. He was chosen because he was loyal while he was in Egypt. And he's a great man. And, etc., etc., etc. He is going to be the high priest. he and his family, will be the ones that will be ministering in the tabernacle. Oh, wonderful. Great. So Moses finishes everything. They set up the tabernacle, they build it, they do everything, and the day of inauguration comes. You could imagine the excitement of the people, 600,000 people in the desert. Moses and the leaders of the tribes, the Levites, everyone, Aaron and his 4 sons, everyone is excited. And they start the inauguration day. 2 of Aaron's sons, Nadav and Avihu, decided, you know what? They are so excited. They did, and they went, and they performed a service that they were not allowed to do. Okay? They brought what was called an Azara, a foreign fire. They brought that day as a service into the tabernacle. And because, you know what, you're not allowed to do this, and this is God's house, the punishment was swift. They both died. Ay, 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 ay. Here, on the great day of the inauguration of the tabernacle, the Mishkan, 2 of Aaron's 4 sons were killed. Nadav and Avihu. What a tragedy. What a tragedy. 2 righteous people taken away in a split second. Moses seeing this and seeing the pain that his brother was in. Now, this was not only a brother. I mean, this man was Moses' older brother, his protector, his shield, his rock. I mean, Moses was a tough man. I mean, you know, with a leader of the Jewish people. But Aaron was his older brother, the one that stayed in Egypt. And he sees his older brother and he's hurting. He's in such pain. So Moses comes to him and says, you know what, Aaron, I'm telling you that they were greater than us. And Moses tries to the best of his ability to comfort Aaron in this unbelievable time of need. And the Torah records Aaron's response. Vayidam Aaron. Aaron was silent. Not a word came out of his lips. Nothing. Moses was talking and Aaron remained silent. Story number 1. Story number 2. God is speaking to Moses one day and says to him, you know what? Write a Sefer Torah. I want a Sefer Torah written. Now, if you've ever seen a Torah, you know that on top of the Torah, there are, in certain letters, there are crowns. Moses asks him, why the crowns? God said, don't worry, one day they'll become a great rabbi. His name is Rabbi Akiva, a great teacher, and he will interpret many, many laws based upon the crowns. Oh, can I see this, Rabbi Akiva? So God shows him how Rabbi Akiva died. The Romans, Hadrian, massacred 10 great leaders, and one of them was Rabbi Akiva. So the Romans took iron combs and they scraped off his skin. Could you imagine that, ladies and gentlemen? This Rabbi Akiva. Moses saw this and began to yell. He said, Zu Torah v'zu schara, God in heaven, what are you doing? This is the Torah and this is the reward. 5 minutes ago, you were telling me what a great guy Rabbi Akiva is. Unbelievable scholar, fantastic teacher, genius, man of the people. And now look at what's going on. The Romans are chopping him up to pieces. God says, like, quiet. Shh. Silence. Ooh. 2 stories. 2 stories. Both dealing with devastating losses, pain, such pain Moses felt upon seeing Rabbi Akiva's death, Aaron upon finding out that his 2 sons had died, and nothing. Shh. Silence. Why? Because the Torah expects that the first response for pain is silence. Say nothing. Say nothing. Why? Why say nothing? Say nothing. Because silence declares. You see, silence speaks to us and says to us that the pain and suffering is so intense, is so deep, that feelings are so raw, no mere words can respond to it. The heart, the broken heart, the bleeding heart that I put up as a symbol of today's class, that broken heart cannot be soothed by profound statements. Only silence can speak in the face of pain at this moment. That's why Vayidam Aaron. That's why Aaron was silent. There's no words. No words can express And ladies and gentlemen, I've been in this business for 40 years. I've been a rabbi and I've been to funerals and I've tried my best at eulogies. And I'm telling you that this is absolutely 100% true. That at time of intense mourning and loss and grieving, no words can express, nothing, zero. We're limited. We're limited as human beings. You can give platitudes, you can say things, but nothing will soothe that broken heart at that moment. And that's why Aaron did not say anything, did not respond, not respond. And God said to Moses, "Be silent." And that's the first reaction that the Torah expects. The first reaction upon feeling this intense pain, very intense pain, is silence. Be quiet. Now, that is not only true for the people that are experiencing the pain, that is also true for the people that are surrounding the ones that are experiencing this pain. I've often counseled people that when they come into a shiva, where it's extremely tense. Now, shivas are very different. Shiva, for those that are not familiar with in the world, shivas are when, God forbid, you lose a loved one of the parents or siblings or spouse or, God forbid, children. You sit 7 days at home and you receive visitors. Okay? Now, sometimes if the parents are 97 years old and they've lived a long life and they were not well, the shiva is a little less intense. It's sad. It's always sad to lose a parent, but it's less intense. It's, you could go there and, you could feel a little bit more at ease. But there are times when, God forbid, it's a young person and there's a tragedy and you come in and you can cut the air with a knife. It is so tense, right? The best thing to do is silence. Don't ask any questions. Don't ask. Don't give any opinions. The first few days of Shiva, the rabbis say it's best to be quiet. Don't say anything. Now, if you're asked by the mourner to say something, then say. But till then, don't say anything. Why? Because silence is the first response. Silence says, you know what? We're with you. We're crying with you. We're crying with you. I can't console you with words, but I can cry with you. That's the most important thing right now. That's what the Torah demands of us. Intense pain, silence. Not forever, but for right now, while we're experiencing this devastating loss that we're feeling right now. That's why in the Ethics of Our Sages, which gives us hundreds of good pieces of advice, it says in chapter 4, in Mishnah number 18, it says, "Do not comfort your fellow while his dead lies before him." Do not comfort your fellow while his dead lays before him. Why? Here you're a good guy. It's your friend. You're seeing that someone has passed away. You want to throw your arms around him. You want to say to him, "Oh, I feel so sorry." Don't. The Mishnah says, the rabbis have instructed us, do not say anything at that time. Why? Because the pain is too intense. The pain is too raw. The heart is too broken to listen to mere words. All you can do is stand there, put your arms around him. That's it. Just show him that you love them and you care for them, but don't try to placate them at that time. Don't try to comfort them at that time. All you're going to do is you're going to make things worse. Words will make things worse. And I know there's some experience, again, I can tell you as a rabbi, stories after story after story, that people said silly things, naughty things, the evil things at Shiva, and just tortured, not willingly, unwillingly, but unwilling torture is still torture for the mourners. So the best thing is caution on the side of error and just be silent. Just be quiet. The pain is too raw. And can anybody explain why this is happening? Of course not. How are we going to tell Aaron to explain this? How he loses his two sons? How are you going to explain to Rabbi Akiva how after years of teaching Torah and going on self-sacrifice, he gets raked to death? How do you explain something like this? How do you explain people losing their children? How do you explain this? It's impossible. Only the Lord knows why. All we are left with is how we're going to deal with this. And again, the key element is how we're going to deal with this pain. We have it. We've experienced it. How we are going to deal with this. The Torah now says to us, what we expect you to do is to use this pain. Now listen closely to this, ladies and gentlemen. The Torah expects us to use this pain as a catalyst to grow after the pain, to be able to grow beyond the pain. Because always remember, we suffer, but we're not sufferers. Not sufferers. A big difference. We hurt, but we are not completely going to be suffering forever and ever. The Torah wants you, and that's why you see by Shiva, there's a system that 7 days intense, 30 days less, a year less. Why? Because that's what the Torah expects of each and every single one of us. Pain is terrible. And even after a year, the pain may still be there. But there is a way that we're going to deal with this pain. We are going to be able to manage it, Not going to get rid of it, but we are going to be able to manage it in a way where we're going to grow out beyond the pain, and to go back to live a meaningful life. You say, Rabbi, what are you saying? I am hurting so much. I am hurting so badly. How in the world will I be able to move beyond this pain? And I've been asked that question too. Don't for sure. I mean, I went at Shiva. I don't have to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, there are times when at the graveside I had to bury a child, and the mother came to me and whispered in my ear, please put me in the coffin with my son. I mean, all of these things, and these are raw emotions. And at that moment, there's nothing to be said. And then now, there, Rabbi Perlmutter and his fancy footwork, no matter what is going to be, is not going to be able to help this particular woman at this particular time. No, absolutely not. Best thing is, stay silent. Now, after we go home and after this, and ladies and gentlemen, I've seen even that mother has grown, she's never forgotten her son, but she's grown to live a meaningful life. She has family, she has grandchildren, she takes care of them. So when a person asks me this question, Rabbi, how can I, please tell me, how am I going to be able to move beyond this? How can the Torah demand of me to? So first of all, I say to them, we see, look, people have suffered terrible losses, and they've gathered up their strength and their resources, and they've moved to live a meaningful life. That does not mean that they've forgotten, but they're able to do this. We've seen this. I mean, look at me. You see me? I look like a semi-normal person. I can't say I'm completely normal. I'm a semi-normal person. I went to school, I got a degree, I have a job, I have a family, I have children, and thank God, God blessed me with, I have some grandchildren. How is this possible? If you knew my background and you knew where I come from, of two Holocaust survivors, that I should never have been here. Because if that question would have lingered in my father and my mother's mind, how do we get beyond this pain? I mean, my mother weighed 85 pounds when she was liberated from Bergen-Belsen in April 1945. My father lost everybody in the war. Everybody. Family, fathers, everybody. Was alone in the world. Had a few cousins in Israel. How am I here? Because I explained to you that even with the devastating loss, with the pain, with suffering beyond our wildest comprehension, I could never believe the stories my mother was telling me, about what was going on in the concentration camps. They decided that they were going to marry and they were going to have a family. And me and my sister are here. And now my parents had grandchildren and great-grandchildren. My mother saw great-grandchildren, in her life. So I could honestly look at someone, and then when they say to me, Rabbi, how can I move beyond this? I could honestly say to them, it's been done. It's been done, and people are walking the streets that have suffered and are today are living a meaningful life. So that's number one. Second, okay, so you say, okay, you know what, the Rabbi, that's them, but this is, time heals. Time is a healer. Right now you feel despair. Right now you feel sadness. Right now you feel bitterness. But in time, and that's the key, in time, you will get back to yourself. So that while the loss is real, you don't have to be paralyzed. You do not have to be paralyzed by this. So here we go. Number one, it's been done before, that people have been able to manage the pain and the loss and the suffering to turn their lives around to live meaningful lives. There are people that have taken this loss and pain and have done incredible things with the loss and pain. Number two, time heals. Right now, as we're sitting over here and talking to ourselves, yes, when the corpse is laying in front of you, there's nothing to talk about. While you're sitting shiva, there's nothing to talk about. Anyone that tells us at that moment, hey, you know what? Now it's time to get up and move on. No, 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 no. But time will heal. Time will heal. Now, ladies and gentlemen, after we've gone through a half an hour of discussing how the Torah views, let's talk about some practical, because everything in the books is great, and stories out there about Holocaust survivors are wonderful and they're inspirational, yes. But what about some practical advice right now, as we're sitting over here today in this class, that when, God forbid, we face terrible pain, or even if we're not facing terrible pain, it doesn't have to be a devastating loss like Aaron or like Rabbi Kiva or like the Holocaust. Even if we're facing, you know what, we're facing a job loss, which is not as devastating as losing a child, all right? And I'm not trying to put a hierarchy on loss, but I'm just saying, heartbreak is one level, and, loss of a loved one is a different level, all of these things, but it doesn't have to be the worst case scenario. Right away, the Jew looks for the worst case scenario. It doesn't have to be the worst case scenario. But what about some practical advice on how basically we can at least try to manage and deal with loss? Okay, so we'll go. Let's do a few of them. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, if God forbid you ever in this kind of situation with, you have to face the loss, meaning you got to deal with it. We here in America, we have this idea of pulling yourself up from the bootstraps. I'm a tough guy. I've been through tough things. So you know what? I'm just gonna not worry about this pain. I'm gonna sweep it under the rug. I'm not gonna do anything with it. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Because it will come back to haunt you. It will come back to haunt you. Right now, you may feel powerful. Right now, you may feel that you're controlling the pain and the loss. But ultimately, I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, we've seen it over and over and over again, study after study, that you have to face the pain. You have to say, this is real. The pain is real. The loss is real, and I'm going to have to face it. Hiding from it, running from it is never going to work out. Never. It may make you feel better temporarily. Sure, right away, I'm tough. I'm not gonna buckle under this. Eventually, the tough will buckle. They will buckle. It may take a year, it may take 2, it may take 5. But down the line, if you don't deal with that situation, the loss and the suffering, I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to come back to haunt you. So, number one, most important thing is face the pain. Face it. Say it's real. I have to do something. I have to do something about it. Okay? I got to do something about it. All right? What that something is going to be, we'll get to it. But that's number one. Step number one. Number two, let your pain out. I mean, a lot of people, again, okay, I feel the pain, but I'm going to keep it in. Cry. Cry. Tears wash our soul. Let it cry, cry, cry. Even if you're not a crier, if this pain demands crying, cry or don't cry. That doesn't matter. If you're not the type of crier, but let the pain out. Sometimes it may even be run into a forest and scream at the top of your lungs. At the top of your lungs, rail against God. Question him. Do whatever you have to do. But let it out, ladies and gentlemen. Bottling it up and holding it in never works. It doesn't work. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Cry, cry, cry. Well, a lot of times, you know what, we're very private people. Very, very private people. Very private people. So what do? Now I've lost somebody, and I don't want to deal with anybody. I want to see anybody. No good. No good. Now is the time that you need to lean on people. Now is the time that people want you to lean on them. Normally, they don't want you to lean on them. No one wants you to lean on them. Now, they want you to lean on them. Okay? So reach out. Now, you're going to find that people are very uncomfortable because now you're a mourner and you have loss and you have pain, so people are going to act very differently to you, and you don't want to feel like the victim. Stop. Stop with the ego. Okay? You don't want to feel like the victim. You need to have people surrounding you. Share your feelings with others, family, friends. Talk about it. Reach out. People want you to do that. They're willing to listen to you. It's a funny, strange thing, but among my friends and our rabbis, we always call, God forbid, when someone has lost somebody. Then you get a call. When I was sitting Shiva for my father and my mother, friends that I haven't heard of for months and years called me just to say, hey, we're thinking about you. When I had a kid, never called. When I married a kid, never called. But when I was sitting Shiva, called. Because why? Because people want to know that they're thinking about you and they care about you. The rest of the time, maybe you're not number one priority in their head. So take advantage of this situation, ladies and gentlemen, and go out there and use people. I'm not saying use people, but use the relationship that you've built in order for you to share your feelings. I can't tell you how important this is. Everyone will say this. Number three, stay away. There's just the same way that you have to look and gather for friends that you could lean on. Stay away from unsympathetic people. There are some people that are just jerks. That's all I could call them. They're jerks. When you start telling them your problem, their reaction is, you know what, the same thing happened to me, I got over it. Or why don't you just get over it? Those kind of statements I don't need to hear. Please, I don't need to hear this, and you don't need to hear this. So if you know that there are people out there that are just going to react this way, they're not sympathetic, they don't care about you, then the Torah says to you, you know what? These are not kind of people I want to share. I don't need to share with them. They're not going to help me, live a meaningful life. They're not going to help me deal with the pain and the loss. These are just jerks that just have no feeling for someone else, and they think that because they're healthy and they got over, which they didn't, by the way, because I could tell you they didn't get over it, but they want to play this game that they got over it. So you know what? You'll get over it too. You know what? The best thing to do is just to pick yourself up and get back into a routine. That's it. Those people you don't need, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me. The next thing is, ladies and gentlemen, this could be a killer. Regrets and guilt. Oh, I can't tell you how many times I've sat with survivors of loss and pain, and they've said to me, "Oh, Rabbi, if only I would have, if I would have taken him to another doctor, or if I could have done something to save my job. Oh, Rabbi, now if I could have done something to save my, I could have, I should have, I ought to have." Regrets, guilt. You know what this does? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Regrets and guilt are just hold you down like an anchor. That's all it does. Hold you down like an anchor. There's nothing that you could have done because life and death is not in your hands. Well, it's not in your hands. Unless you killed somebody, then you should be feeling guilty. But if you did not kill anybody, if someone in your family, God forbid, passed away, that was God's will. That's it. Not yours and nobody else's. Finished. The fact that you did not run to 17 specialists and you take your mother to 12 different opinions doesn't mean anything. It absolutely means zero, zilch, and it's only in your mind and the Yetzer Hara, that little evil inclination that we have in our heads, are working on you and not allowing you to move beyond. Remember the key: move beyond the pain in order to live a meaningful life. And regrets will do that to you. So no regrets and no guilt. You did what you had to do. You did what you had to do. You know what? Hashem took care of the rest. No regrets. No regrets. A lot of people mention this, and when I did some research, it's important to save things from the ones that you love. Just save like a sweater or a hat, a book, something that helps the remembrance and the connection. The connection of it. Now, so those are just a number of things that we have to do to deal with the pain. If all of this doesn't work and you're still feeling sad and you're feeling depressed and you're feeling, some people even feel suicidal, then all bets are off. Get professional help. Don't be the kind of person that says, you know what, I don't need help, I'll make it myself. Get professional help, please. I mean, now, those were all tips that had to deal with managing the pain. Now there are some tips to move us forward, to move us beyond the pain towards what we call happiness. We want to still achieve some time in our lives where we want to be happy. So, number one is redirect. Redirect. Train yourself that when all of a sudden a feeling of sadness comes over you, redirect it immediately to something else. Shift your focus to what you're doing, to a happy place, to wherever it is. It takes time and it takes effort, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, I understand this. It doesn't come natural just like that. But if we can, you know what? Shift our attention, train ourselves to go to a happy place when we're feeling sad and we're feeling morose or we're feeling bitter. This will help us. And the more times we do this, like practice, practice over and over again, we'll get good at it. So when I'm starting feeling down, I think to myself, you know what? I remember that the good times we had, or I do this, or I do that. I try to shift my focus. And this is true for anything, any problem in life. If we could redirect our thoughts and train ourselves, because there's a lot of times when we're just going to be sitting there and just, because grief, ladies and gentlemen, let's be honest, is not constant. It's not there on a constant basis, equal times to the day 1, day 15, second month, fifth month. No. Grief is like a roller coaster, up and down and up and down. And of course, if you ever noticed a roller coaster, the highest dips are in the beginning of the ride. Later on, it kind of peters out. But in the beginning, they scare the living daylights out of you. And the same thing is true about grief. In the beginning, it's going to be so intense. The peak, the highs, and then lows, highs, lows, highs, lows. So you know what? When you're low, when you're going low, very low, remember, pick yourself up. Do something. Whether you have to actually go somewhere or do something, redirect. This is invaluable. Invaluable. Not easy, but train. But what is easy in life? What is easy in life? Whatever we're doing is. But we're trying to rebuild ourselves. We've just suffered something. We've lost. We've lost a business. We've lost a companion. We've lost a parent. We need to rebuild our lives. In order for us to rebuild our lives, one of those exercises that I'm asking you to please take into consideration is redirection. Redirection. And you know where your happy place is. Go there. Go to your happy place. Go to somewhere and get and push aside the sadness. Number 2, remember, now we're working towards happiness. We're not dealing anymore with how we have to deal with the pain. We're working now. Get busy. Get busy. Distract yourself. The worst thing that you can do is do nothing. Sit at home. Isolate yourself. The worst. That's the worst. Because the mind, let's be honest, the mind is a great servant and a terrible master. Meaning that if you put things into your mind, it's great. And you know what? When you're involved in something that you love, if you're a mathematician and you're involved in mathematics, oh, that brain is just working overdrive. If you're an architect making plans, overdrive. If you're a chef and you're busy putting together a souffle, the mind is working overtime. The mind is a tremendous servant. If you rule it and you direct it, it's a wonderful servant. It's going to get you to places you'll never believe. But when it becomes your master, meaning that you're sitting like this and you're not directing it, but it's directing you, it's a horrible master, because it will drag you to places so dark and so dank you won't even believe it. Again, and especially, this is true for anybody, but it's especially true for people that have suffered a devastating loss and are feeling pain. The mind will drag you over and over again. So get busy. Get busy. How do I get busy, Rabbi? Volunteer. Go out. Hang out with your family. Do something. Make sure that your schedule every day has things on it to do. Wake up with a purpose. Say today, you know what? Today I'm going to the bank, and tomorrow I'm going to the doctor, and then I'm going to go here and I'm going to go there. Make sure your schedule is full. If you have a full day and you yourself, there's no time. Then there's going to be no time to let this pain evolve and keep you dragged down. Then, if not, go outside. Outside is so beautiful, so beautiful. I mean, I know the past 9 months we've been locked in, but you know what? There's no law about going outside. Even though here in Long Beach we've the government has buckled down on more rules and regulations. I mean, starting tomorrow, there's no outside dining, and they're begging everybody with Thanksgiving coming on Thursday to please stay with your own immediate family. But there's no rule about going outside. You can go outside, take a walk. We live in Long Beach, California, in a beautiful country, a beautiful city, an unbelievable beautiful city. It has the ocean. It has Signal Hill, on top of Signal Hill. 10 minutes from me, 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes from me, is the ocean. Take a walk on the ocean. There are people all over the world that would give anything to be able to take a walk on the ocean. Well, who walks on the ocean? Few people. Never see people. Few people walking on the ocean every once in a while. Go outside. You don't like the ocean? There's other places to go. There's botanical gardens. There's other places to see. Go outside. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And walking, they say, walking outside is especially helpful. Spend time with good people. Find out. Join clubs. There's a bridge club. There's a class. Torah classes. Spend time now. This is a little bit more difficult today. I understand, because you know what, with COVID coming around, and you don't want to hang around people. I understand, but COVID will end one day, and we'll still experience pain. I wish after COVID goes away there'll be no more pain, but there'll unfortunately still be pain even after COVID is gone. So then, spend time with good people. If you can, just make a Zoom with people. Everybody can Zoom. It's an easy. Even if you're, believe me, I am the most technically worst person. I mean, but I've learned how to get on Facebook. I've learned it. You push a button here, you push a button there. I mean, sometimes it goes wrong, but I've learned Zoom is the same way. You can Zoom your family, your friends. All you go do is you prepare a meeting, say Zoom in, and there you go. You talk to people, you see them, you laugh with them, you cry with them, you do whatever you have to do. You have to do with them, even though it's not the same as being inside. But that's why Zoom was created. Zoom was created to give us an ability to connect. So connect. Take advantage of this. Okay? You know what, please? Don't fake happiness. People think, oh, they're not going to like me if I walk into the room, the Debbie Downer, with my nose down. People are not going to like me. So I'm always going to be cheerful. I've just experienced a devastating loss. I lost someone. My husband divorced me. I lost my job. A number of things happened to me. But I'm going to show them that I'm not down. I'm up. I'm going to be smiling. Why? Why? When no one is expecting you to smile. No one is expecting you to fake happiness. Be yourself. If you're sad, be yourself. You don't have to fake happiness. Now, should you completely always walk around with a down face? Probably not. That's not a good idea either. But don't do that, and allow time. Allow time to heal, ladies and gentlemen. I can't tell you how important that is. I know we're impatient. I want it now. I want it now. The internet is fast. I want fast food. I want everything now. I want it to be over with. Rabbi, when is it going to be over with? It will. Patience. It will be over. Time will heal. I'm telling you, time will heal. And if, on the other hand, I wake up by feeling good, Rabbi, I'm feeling good. My father just died 3 weeks ago, but I'm feeling okay. So what? Don't feel guilty. You're feeling okay. That's what grief is. Grief is a roller coaster. It goes up and down. Now you're on and up. You feel good. Okay. People think, oh, you know what, Rabbi? If I feel good means I'm not honoring my parents. I'm not really feeling the pain. Why? You are feeling the pain. It's just that right now your mind is telling you not to concentrate on the pain and to concentrate on feeling good. There's nothing to feel guilty about that. Oh, Rabbi, you don't understand. My father, I was so close to him. I understand, and you're still close to him. So what? You don't think your father would want you to feel a little happiness? He wants you to walk around sad and morose and bitter every single minute? No, of course not. So why are you feeling guilty that you're feeling good? Good for you. Good for you. Wow. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Pain is a result of living. That's it. What can we say? What can we say? You live, you feel pain. That's it. You live, you're alive, you're gonna feel some pain. I give an example. I don't want to give an example of emotional. Let's go to physical pain. You know what? I'm now trying for the, I can't tell you how many times, for the 100th time in my life to lose weight. Everyone says, and I know this, and there's two parts to dieting. There's the food and there's the exercise. Okay, the food is, again, it's so hard to get a grasp on what is the most healthy diet to lose weight. Low carbs, good carbs, bad carbs. But I'm trying my best to cut out everything that I love, which means sugar, fat, and everything. The worst thing everybody agrees is what I love the most: potato chips. Out with the potato chips, out with the chocolate, out with all of those things. Fine. But the second thing is, even that, you need exercise. You need exercise. You just can't sit and just lose weight by just eating. You got to be active. So how do you get active? So a friend of mine found on YouTube, since you're not going to health clubs, on YouTube, an exercise program for me. And I've been doing it now for a little over 3 weeks. It's a half an hour a day. I do it 5 times a week. No Friday, no Shabbos. Shabbos for sure not, but even Friday, I tell myself it's before Shabbos. I'm not. It's painful. It's painful. The guy makes you move your legs. The guy makes you move your arms. The guy makes you move your this. The guy makes you move that. And then you say, it's painful. So what's the reaction to it? Excellent. You mean your arms are hurting you? Perfect. I say to myself, what do you mean perfect? What do you mean it's hurting? That's what we want. We want your arms to hurt. We want your legs to hurt. We want your calves to hurt. The fact that they're hurting is good, is a positive sign. It means that you're living. Oh, okay. So I think to myself, it's temporary. It's temporary because one or two things is going to happen. Either I'm going to stop hurting, meaning that my muscles will get used to what I'm doing, and they're going to stop hurting. Or two, I'm going to say to myself, you know what, I can't take this pain anymore. I hope not. I hope it's going to be one that I'm going to continue to do this. But I just see from there that pain, like we said, when you're alive, you feel pain. If I didn't feel pain, if I kept moving my muscles in such a position that I haven't moved them in years, and I wouldn't feel any pain, it would be very strange, because your muscles are saying to themselves, why are you doing this to me? Why are you standing like this and this and this and that? So I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm feeling pain. Okay? So we know that pain is for the living. Now, how do you deal with it? That's the hard part, but it's necessary and it's possible. You could, for those that are experiencing pain and loss right now, or someone that's experiencing loss and pain right now, you could and you will experience good times. I'm telling you, and here is the big if. This is the big, big, big if. If you work on it and allow yourself to feel good again. You see, again, people get themselves in a corner and they won't allow themselves to feel good. They want to wallow in that pain. They feel that somehow wallowing in that pain, either number one, makes them a martyr, which, okay, some people love to have this martyr concept in their head. So people can say, oh, look at her. She's mourning her parents for years and years. Oh, what a great daughter she is. So she won't allow herself the ability to break out and grow beyond the pain. Okay? Or second of all, you think, no, it's disrespectful, Rabbi, it's disrespectful for me to laugh again, for me to smile again, for me to be productive again. No, I got to sit all day and I got to worry and be morose. No. So if you're of that mindset and you won't allow yourself even the ability or the idea to grow beyond the pain, then you won't grow beyond the pain. Then all of the tips that I said and everything we talked about for almost an hour is not for you. It's not for you. But if you're the kind of person that says, Rabbi, I want to get back in the game. I want to live a meaningful life. I'm suffering. I'm hurting. But I really do want to do that. You can. You can. There's ways to deal with it. We've talked about a number of ideas. And these are only a few little ideas, that we talked about. about distant, about distracting yourself and getting busy. I mean, and spending time with good people, and all these other issues. These are basic, commonsensical ideas of how to get back into yourself. We've seen it. We've seen it. We've seen people. This organization of Mothers Against Drunk Driving, MAD, started from a mother who lost her daughter by a drunk driver. Think about that. Think about how she felt and what she was able to do. So we see that the capacity of human beings, that there's a reservoir of strength within this, that the same God, the same God that made pain, the same God gave us this reservoir of strength that we have, each and every one of us has in our heart. People have suffered, they've bounced back. People have been hurting, they stood up. People have been down, they brushed themselves off and they kept moving. That doesn't mean that you're going to forget the loved one. That doesn't mean that the pain is going to disappear. All it means is that you have said to yourself, I'm using this opportunity to grow beyond the pain. I'm taking it, I'm redirecting it, and somehow I'm going to live again. I'm going to stand on my feet and I'm going to march towards a meaningful life. People have done this. We see it from Holocaust survivors, as I mentioned before. It is an opportunity. It is, and it can be done. Job, who was the ultimate story of this whole idea of evil and suffering, asked God why, and at the end of the book, God says to him, and we think that, hey, you know what? God's gonna give us the answer of why he made Job suffer, and he says to him, well, you don't understand anything. This is my business. This is my business. You're just a mortal. You're a mere human being. Don't involve yourself. Now, there are philosophers that like to ponder this, and that's their business. But for the average Joe, for the average person, we're not interested again in the theology of this, not in the philosophy of pain. That's for academics sitting in an ivory tower. For us, our job is that, number one, when we experience pain, let it hurt. Let it hurt a little bit. Let it hurt a little bit. I mean, you know what? Everybody probably over the years has heard about what they call the Kubler-Ross, 5 stages of grief, right? And the first stage, of course, is denial. Denial. No, it's not happening to me. This can't be happening to me. It's wrong. It's not so. It's this. Then you say to yourself, it is happening to me. Then you get angry. Why is this happening to me? Who? I'm going to blame somebody. Okay, then you get over the anger, and then you realize, hey, there's nothing to get angry about. And you start bargaining, please, this, that. Then your reality sets in, and you're sad, and the fourth level is depression. And you say to yourself, I'm too sad to do anything. And then acceptance. Now, Dr. Kubler herself said that even though that there's 5 stages of grief, if you're missing one of these 5 stages, doesn't mean that you're not normal. It's just that this doesn't work for everybody, and it doesn't have to be in this order. It could be a mixed up order completely. But this is again another way of dealing with the grief, because we as human beings can deal with grief. It's not easy and it's not pleasant. And I said in the beginning of this of the class that I'd rather not be talking about this. I'd rather be talking about happiness and laughter and good times and how to, but that we'll have to say for next week, for the finale, for the sixth and last class. We'll deal with happiness, we'll deal with faith, we'll end up with on a positive note. But I thought that it's especially important because in today's day and age, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people have passed. Now you may not know of any, but for example, myself, during this pandemic, I've lost 2 first cousins married into the family, and they were older. They were older, but still first cousins. So and everybody is experiencing some kind of anguish. I mean, angst that's going on now. So I thought it was very important to deal with this. With this topic. There's so much more really to deal with this. I mean, because we only have an hour, but I just wanted to bring in, from 2 vantage points. One, how the Torah looks at pain and our reaction to pain is silence. And then from the second side, to give some practical. I like to be a practical guy, and give me some ideas, Rabbi, on the table. What can I do? I'm hurting right now. You know what? It's great. The Torah, silence, and all of that is wonderful. But right now, I need some practical advice. I hope that some of the tips and points that I mentioned over there will be useful in your life. I hope that the pain that you experienced already in life, is over. You fulfilled your quota for all the pain, and I hope that you stay safe. The numbers here have been going up. We are spiking here in California, and here in Long Beach as well. We're spiking. So please, ladies and gentlemen, don't take any chances. We need everybody to be safe, and we need everyone to be well. Do what you have to do. Have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving, and be thankful for what we have. Be really, really thankful, for what we have. It's been a tough year, but we're here, and God willing, we will overcome. But in the meantime, you have to do what you have to do to stay safe. No, there's nothing about it. The Torah is unequivocal. Absolutely, there's no ambiguity about this. You have to guard your life with whatever you have to do. I hope that this class was a little bit meaningful for you and useful for some of the things that we can do to deal with the pain and loss. Next week, I'm telling you, it's going to be an upper. Next week, we're not going to have to deal with sadness, happiness, joy, faith, and a conclusion to this 6-part series. As I mentioned in the beginning of the class, next week we're going to go over, and then we'll take a little break for Hanukkah and then the New Year. And once the New Year comes in, we'll start a brand new JLI class. I can't tell you how thrilled I am for you to join me here this evening. And what I'd like you to do, if you'd like it, is just share this. Maybe somewhere out there, people will listen to this and it'll give them some kind of comfort. Give me a like, this and that. Also, join me on Thursday. I'm not so sure if we're going to have the class. I'll let everybody know on Facebook, but certainly Friday for our L'chaim. And Monday morning at 9 o'clock, me and Chai Leah start our brand new series, a show, 9 o'clock Monday morning. It's going to be uplifting. It's going to be funny, and we'll try to do whatever we can to lift people's spirits up. In the meantime, again, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a wonderful evening. Stay safe. I love you all. And I wish sooner than later that we're able to get back into the business that I so much crave, and that's in-house camaraderie and being with people. But until that time, it's a pleasure to be with you here on Facebook. Good night. Stay safe, and hopefully we'll see each other soon.